We are mapping your group's strengths and network. Some of the tools I use for this are either on paper or using Miro boards to support a group or organisation, and you can do this yourself. The way I've laid this out here is with a set of presentation slides and then explanation of what the exercises are going to be for the session. We would then have a whiteboard or physical flip chart, and then this is the way this session went. Presentation that covered a bit about the sustainability pillars, what the organisation's main vision is, and looking at relevant case examples in Renfrewshire, which was class care. Then we did the facilitated workshop, setting goals. The instructions we've got are down here for each of the parts of the session. We've got these key questions that help us get started. So each individual in the group could be given a piece of paper with something that prompts these questions. You might want to do it in more detail or ask in different ways. What we already know, you might want to say, what do you already know about climate action? What do you already know about environmental action, or things you're aware of that can be done or that are getting done? And then round about assumptions and beliefs. You may want to ask questions. What are your assumptions and beliefs around about climate action? What's already out there? So what have you seen in your local community? What have you seen across Renfrewshire, across Scotland, across the UK, internationally? What you're aware of from watching the news or the TV or watching through social media? And what do you think's missing out there? These are the types of prompt questions that might give you a bit of what's missing. Would you like to see more of in your organisation or in your local community around about climate action? That will help answer that. They have post-its, 4 different colours, 1 for each quadrant, and they start to answer one of these questions at a time. And they could start individually, or they could just work on it as split into groups. Once that's done, you take a picture of it so it's clear enough that you can see. You might want one of each quadrant. You can go back to them later and be able to read them. And then you're going to ask the groups to then pick out themes. You might bring this back to the whole group to then go and start to recognise themes. The larger post-it notes are then used on these theme boards, which could be, again, on different sheets that are added onto the table or put onto the wall. And then they pick out the key themes they start to recognise, and you'll notice that the colours from the first boards are then spread about across the themes. This is helpful to explain to you where they've came from. For example, there's quite a lot of ideas in quite a big group. Then they take these dots, which are either sticky dots or digital dots in Miro, and they take the 3 dots each and they pick their priorities. If you can get the group moving about, just there's less chance of them worrying about standing out for picking something that's important to them. The next stage of this is then goal setting. You see, example, the board members from Renfrewshire Community Transport, they picked out their priorities from their boards. Initially, they had put out their key themes that relate all the first ideas that they had. And then after that, their priorities start to shine through. So I've used a colour pen to pick out the ones that are important to them. As a smaller group, you end up with less coming through. And what we did was then an exercise round about turning problems into opportunities. What is the problem that's faced within any of these key themes? This one example is funding. That this became the priority opportunity to do something about, and they can then explore it. If you manage to see that one of the priorities has made it to the first position, the second and the third they've went along with 3. We've found that 3 tends to work. We'll also share the resources for how we change barriers into opportunity, how we identify networks, and how we set SMART goals for your organisation.